Okay, everyone. My name is Jure Gantar, and I'm the acting dean of the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, and you'll be very pleased that I have actually written script for this so that I don't extemporize and try to entertain you. So why we're here today is to celebrate the 2018 FASS Essay Competition Awards. And it's a wonderful opportunity. I've had a chance to do it several times before, and I have to say this is the best batch of essays this year that I've seen too. So it was actually a very competitive field. So we're here to recognize and celebrate student excellence in the arts and social sciences, and also to award substantial prizes. And just for the ones of you who don't know that, I don't think I've ever been paid for a book as much as you're getting for it. So each prize carries with it a $4,000 monetary award. That's a significant amount, but its topics are also of significance and of substance, and they carry real-world implications and applications for policy, teaching, and global interaction. And they are a testament to what the faculty is capable of and the role that arts can play on the world stage. So the first award that we'll be presenting today is the Mushkat Memorial Essay Prize. And I'll just give you a little bit of background on the prize. It was established in 1942 by Mr. William Mushkat, a Jewish immigrant to Canada, and the objective of this award is to foster academic excellence and scholarly research into the meaning and principles that define the word tolerance. He thought the need for this research was very important in 1942, of course that makes sense. And important enough to give money out of his pocket. And he thought that students of the, at that point were arts and science students were the ones to do this work. So in short, through this gift, he put his belief in the Housey students and their ability to change the world. Submitted papers for this prize can be on any subject of national or international importance, but research must demonstrate how tolerance and goodwill among people and nations are inextricably linked. And I'm very pleased to announce that the recipient of this year's Mushkat Memorial Essay Prize is an undergraduate student from the Department of History, Will Keyes, for his paper Blackshirts and Bloodlands, a comparative analysis of the Holocaust in Italy and Ukraine. So Dr. Erin Korber, our inaugural Simon and Riva Spatz Chair of Jewish Studies, provided a letter of support for Will's essay submission, and she described his essay as, and I'm quoting now, an in-depth research project and reflection on the nature and motivation of Nazi collaboration, a task that Will undertakes by comparing case studies of fascist Italy and Nazi-occupied Ukraine. The essay delves into historiography and primary sources to recount experiences of the Holocaust in Italy and Ukraine in detail. And Dr. Korber then goes on to describe the paper as, I'm quoting again, an elegantly written and well-researched comparative study of two different cases of Nazi collaboration that brings to light some key elements in broader historical and humanistic studies illuminating the theme of good human conduct. End of quote. She adds that throughout the development of this paper, and I'm quoting again, Will Keyes shows that he is not only a sophisticated thinker with regard to the topic at hand, but that he's a careful researcher and empathetic writer. The selection committee, which included Dr. Margaret Robinson of Sociology and Social Anthropology, and Dr. Tyler Hildebrand. Tyler, where are you? I saw you earlier. Of philosophy, and I was on the committee too. We all agreed that Will's paper was engaging, made a clear argument, was well-sourced, accessible, and convincing. So, here comes the highlight. Will, there's an actual check here. Oh, you take a photo? Yeah. I'm standing on my toes. 1, 2, 3. You were looking up. Well, how do you want me? I can't look down. I'm sorry. So now we'll have a chance to say a few words and read an excerpt from his paper.
I might have to adjust this a bit.
Don't make fun of me.
You know, it's just the way of my life. Hi. So first off, I would like to thank the selection committee for putting the time that they do to actually read these papers and allow us to have these contests. I think it's very important for both students and the faculty in general. I'd also like to thank the Mushkat family for the donation they made and the point that they put on this topic. I think it's very important, and given both the topic of my research and the history they were coming from, I think now we have a lot to learn from that time and from them. I'd also like to offer a huge thanks to Dr. Erin Korber, who, despite only being a prof at Dal for 1 year, she did an excellent job engaging with me and teaching me the subject. She promoted me. She was the one who actually suggested I submit this essay. It was written for her class, the Holocaust history class I took with her. And she helped me edit, she gave me ideas, and she was incredibly supportive. So a huge thanks to her. As well, I'd also just like to recognize quickly the plethora of in-depth sourcing that has been done since the Holocaust. Namely, the Shoah Foundation has done an incredible job of actually speaking with survivors and getting their takes and understanding from their perspective what happened to them and why. And it's an incredible research point that we don't usually get with a lot of these papers. So that made my job a lot easier. So the initial goal that motivated my essay was to try and understand the realities and the motivations of the Holocaust in different regions of Europe, to understand how and why local communities would participate or resist the horrors of it. From this understanding, I hope to show that the intolerance that was present in Nazi Germany was not solely exported to these countries, but ingrained in their own histories and communities for a variety of reasons, and that this intolerance was deeply destructive and left these nations in ruin. It may seem evident from the perspective of the 21st century that the acceptance of difference is not only a key feature of liberal democratic states, but to life in a modern civil society in general. When a community fails to embrace or accept these differences, be them cultural, political, or religious, conflict will inevitably emerge on some scale within that community. For any society to function and progress in harmony, cooperation, inclusion, acceptance, and the embrace of diversity is a necessity. This understanding of diversity was not always so evident. Before, during, and after the Second World War, rising nationalism charged by ethnocentrism swept across Europe, resulting in one of the worst genocides in human history. Italy and Ukraine offer two unique examples of the motivations that charged the road to genocide and the resulting resistance against that genocide from both Jewish and non-Jewish peoples. A desire to define and defend the ethnic and cultural identity of each nation motivated nationalists to attack Jewish minorities and work with Nazis of both occupiers and allies. This created divisions within these states, and as oppression became more brutal, so too did resistance become more defiant. Jewish people, political dissidents, and other unaccepted groups were dehumanized in each region, allowing many to either turn a blind eye to violence or collaborate with it in passive or active roles, perpetuating the crimes of the Holocaust even after German occupation ended. Rather than creating a more unified monocultural state, each region was plunged into chaos and injustice, in part because of their failure to accept the differences of others. Hitler's Lebensraum, the annexation of Austria and the Sudetenland, were all justified through this idea of a racial right to territory and autonomy and self-determination, that lands in which Germans lived were German themselves by extension. This conflated construction of the individual and the nation also justified the opposite thought, that those who were not included in this construction of a national community could therefore not live in it. These ideas were present throughout the continent, in both Ukraine and Italy, and justified a mindset that regarded integrated Jews as foreigners and enemies of the state simply for existing. However national communities are imagined and constructed, what it meant to be Italian or Ukrainian were vague notions, ill-defined as it is anywhere. And when the stakes are made as great as they were, violence blossomed. In a climate in which integral nationalism was a predominant, a different opinion or party loyalty or belief system or cultural background could bring into questions one's right to citizenship or community. In nationalism, the outsider is frequently held up as a pariah against which a national identity can design itself and pride itself. Fear, hatred, a sense of superiority, or any other plethora of terms drawn from a community's historical experience or contemporary context could be used to define the evil at the core of fascist ideology and its multiple versions of collaboration. Yet these observations draw from the two case studies of wartime Italy and Ukraine also demonstrate a more overarching point that has relevance for contemporary states of the 21st century. Stability is not found when a state refuses to embrace and accept the diversity of its citizens, only imperial ambition and raw brutality. Thank you.